Right, I'm going to explain the Playfair Code, and it's called the Playfair Code because it was used extensively by Lord Playfair in the 1800s. Essentially, what you do is you have a matrix, a 5 by 5 matrix, and that gives you 25 places. But there are 26 letters in the alphabet, so we lose a little used letter like Z. But that would be quite easy to decode because it's very predictable, and all that sort of thing. So what we actually do is we have a keyword, and that keyword, quite importantly, doesn't have any letters. All the letters are only once. There's no double L's or anything like that. So we go PENCIL, and then the next letter after L in the alphabet is M. So we start with that. Then we go on to O because we've already got an N in pencil, then Q, R, S, and so on and so on. When we get down to Y, we then start at the beginning of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, no E because there's an E in pencil, and then F, G, H, J, and no I because there's an I in pencil. Okay, so that's the matrix that we're going to use. Now, what we do is we send biograms, or we send a message and then we write all the letters down, and then we split them into twos. Now, when you put any two of those letters onto the matrix, they'll do one of three things. They form a corners of a box, in which case we use the horizontally opposite letter. So for G, it would be I. For S, it would be Q, but more of that in a moment. They'll form a column. In that case, we use the letter below it. If there isn't a letter below it, then we loop it back to the top of that column. And again, you'll see that in a moment. Or it'll be in a row. Now, in a row, we use the letter to the right of it. And again, if there's no letter to the right of it, then we just loop it round. So there's no letter to the right of O, so we use a K. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, and now we're going to encode a word, and we're going to encode the word Hellore, which is a town in India. So what we're going to do, we break all the messages to use two at a time. H and E form a box. So we encode using the horizontally opposite letters, which are F and C. Now we use the next is L, and instead of using the second L, because we don't want to have a double letters, because it'll help with the frequency analysis. So this helps us to throw that a little bit. So instead of having a second L, we use an X, and they're in a column. So we use the letters below, which are S and D. The next one is O and R. They're in a row, but there is nothing to the right of R, so we loop it to the other side. So O and R become Q and L. So to encode, we break it into bigrams, Hellor. We don't want to use two consecutive letters, so we insert an X, giving HELXOR. And then if there isn't a letter either to the right in a row or below in a column, we loop to the opposite side. So Hellor becomes FCSDQL. So how to decode FCSDQL? We essentially do the opposite of what we did to encode it, or what the other person did to encode it. So F and C, they become E and H. Then we receive S and D, so we go to the letters above them and give L and X. Then we receive Q and L, so we go to the left, giving O and R. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just for you to practice, and essentially what I want you to do is just pause the video, and then we will have a go at decoding that, and then we'll come back and see how you did. So pause your video now, please. So welcome back. So that was what you should have got. SENDMO, etc. And we break that down into send movements. And obviously the X at the end is a discard letter, because we've got to have 2 letters in each biogram, and there was wasn't the message itself wasn't divisible by 2, so we put an X at the end. Okay, so I hope you got how to do that.